So I could just leave this because I had a hat right there. It just said "Dad Gang." Well, had nothing to do with all this stuff. So
Well, I can edit all. I can. So I already know I can edit all this out. So we can. It is recording, but I can edit all that out.
oh, okay, okay, all right, bro.
Okay. All right. What's up, guys? Zach McDaniel. I got Caleb Reyes with me. We're here to talk about the business. We're just gonna be. We don't have any. There's no agenda. Like there's gonna be stutters. There's gonna be stumbles. There's gonna be questions and. But I'm gonna pass it off to Caleb and let him introduce himself and what it is he does, what it is I do, and we're just gonna go from there and see how it turns out.
Yeah, yeah. What's up, y'all? So, man, we're excited about doing this episode one. We're gonna do this mainly just to get info more out there on. You already see we're already messing up, right? Info more out there. Getting more info out there on what exactly we do, right? But on Friday mornings, every single morning, every single Friday, we've got something called Friday Leadership Club (FLC). Right? There's guys there making from $200,000 to $600,000 a year, right? So it's pretty widespread, and that's where we go every Friday morning. And if I got a couple of my agents that are out of state. You guys will meet them maybe later on and stuff like that. That plug in through Zoom, and we just get so much from it, right? So, but yeah, Zach, I guess you and me would just kind of hit off on a couple of points that we hit on today. I saw you had a bunch of notes, so we can kind of go off of some of the stuff that you got. But what were some of the points, some of the things that you got out from it? But first of all, what did you think about the whole meeting in the first place?
Oh man, I loved it. Like I got lucky enough that as soon as I joined, that builder school was
Yeah,
there, and it was a little bit bigger and a little bit more. I don't want to say organized, but it was a bigger function, I
yeah,
guess, than what the Friday mornings are. But those only come once every quarter, once
yeah.
every
Every quarter, every
few
three
months.
months. Yeah,
Yeah, so they definitely have a lot more planning to them than
yeah.
just once a week, once a week. But man, I've got a whole page here, but the main things I know are going to stick with me are me being in the Air Force, the integrity, hold yourself accountable,
Mhm.
because the another point I have is you individually are the only variable in this company. Like everything else is always the same, but what you decide to do with the company is what you get in, what you put out of it, or you get out of it what you put in it. Like there's no, well, all right, well, Caleb will carry me this month. No, like you're gonna have to.
Put in the work.
It's on you.
Yeah,
Exactly. So yeah, and then I've got just be clear on your goals. Like if you're not clear on what you want, then how can you achieve anything when you don't know what you're trying to
yeah.
achieve? I guess is how I took that. Get comfortable being uncomfortable. That's David Goggins.
Yeah.
One of my favorite people to go to for motivational speaking, because I know on here I said we're going to be raw, but that dude is raw.
Yeah.
Like there's no filter with that guy,
Oh, for sure.
Um, and then I like the Shawshank Redemption reference
Example.
too.
You have to go through the sewage,
Yeah,
right?
yes, you got to go through the sewer to get to where you want. And once he said Shawshank Redemption, I was like, oh yeah, like
You
for
speaking your
sure,
language.
like that was the
Yeah,
yes,
I think the
exactly.
coolest
So
thing about that was like, yeah, like for those of you that probably don't know much about it or whatever, like I mean I watched a long time ago, but yeah, that's the coolest thing. He says the only way to freedom was going through the sewer. Right. And I was like, damn,
yeah,
bro, that's so true, right? Relating it to business. As a matter of fact, he's one of the best speak. I gotta send you some a video that I have on him that was speaking, Mr. Timmons, right? Blake Timmons. And but yeah, he talks about he had to go through sewer, and we all, if you want to be able to have some success, you got to be able to go through those through some crap, right? Literally, right? And I thought it
yeah,
was pretty cool. I
yeah,
was reading another book. I do Audible all the time, right? And one of the books I had, I wrote down failure. It was a quote: "Failure is not an option; it's essential." Right? You need failure, right? And it said if you're afraid of failure, then you're afraid of success, right? Because the only way to success is getting that brick of failure, another brick of failure, and then you build your your kingdom through that, right? So I thought that was so cool. And then another one was, you know how like when you get the flu, right? You have to get a flu shot. They give you a small dose of flu so that your body can withstand it, right? So it said fear of failure. The antidote to that is not success, right? You would think it's the opposite, right? But fear of failure, the antidote to it is small doses of failure, right? The exact same thing, right? So to repel whatever it is you want, you have to have that same deal, right? And I was like, damn, that's so good. So I was listening to that on the way here after the FLC. You know what I mean? And I'm addicted to growth, bro. I'm addicted to growth, and dude, I love these meetings because of that, right? It just stretches me every time. Especially these guys making 20, 30 grand, consistently. And so I don't know if you had a couple other points, but I want to hit on this real quick since I got it fresh in my mind. That when I went up there, because after the meeting, that's the coolest thing about it. That when the meeting's over, camera shuts off, Zoom is off, but then I can still go and talk to these guys that are consistently making 30, 40 grand a month. You know what I mean? A month. You heard me right, right?
Yeah.
And I go up to them and be like, hey, what is it that you guys are doing now? What are things that you guys have changed? What are, whatever it is. And then I have a person right there in front of me instead of just some podcast, some video, just some YouTube, got somebody right in front of me that can just tell me, hey, this is how I did it. This is what I did. And they don't hold back. They'll give me what they got. And I think that's what's so cool about it, right? There's plenty of success for everybody. And so, but yeah, they'll just start give me. And then one of the things that he told me, which was what I was going to hit on with you right now, for those of you that don't know, right? Me and Zach work together. I'm the broker, and I want to get, we're going to get wealthy together, right? So one of the things he told me, bro, was he tells his team all the time. He's like, hey guys, we got to get to 10 by the 10th, right? 10 recruits by the 10th, right? And we'll hit more on recruiting and stuff later on, I guess, but 10 recruits by the 10th because of that concept that I just gave you, right? He said 10, 1, 2, right? Out of every 10 new agents that you hired on, that you have, one of them will get their promotion. And for those guys that are getting their promotion, that means that you're getting paid, they're getting paid, right? So not all of them are going to have that burning desire of I want to do something with my life, right? So out of every 10, you got one, but out of every 10, you also have two people that actually pass their exam and are now licensed agents. And of those two that are going to pass their test, if you keep doing that month in, month out, month in, month out, right? Let's say you did that for a year, that's not the case, right? It's going to be a lot more than that. But that's 24 new agents that you have in your business in 1 year, right? If you were just consistently doing 10 a month, right? So if you've got 24 licensed agents on your team, right, in your business, right now you multiplied yourself in 24 times, right? So the example that I give to people is like if you were able to, like let's say you had a job, right? I don't care if you were to, work as a dental assistant or whatever it is that you do, right? And if you were to multiply yourself into two people, how much money could you make now, right? That's like double the income, right? Potentially, or if you multiply yourself into three, right? And so this is the only business that I've been able to see for the most part. I mean, there's other businesses you can do the same similar stuff that you can multiply yourself into multiple people, right? And now start duplicating your income because you're teaching them to do the same thing that you've done. Does that make sense?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. No, that makes perfect sense.
So yeah, that's why when I started understanding that, I'm like, okay, well, don't you ever wish you could be in two places at once, right? Well, that's kind of what you're doing when you duplicate yourself into a couple other agents. Now you grow a business, and if you got 10 agents out there doing business, I don't have to be at work every day. I mean, I want to be. I want to be there for them. I want to show them. I want to teach them all that stuff. But when they know what they're doing, I just consistently gotta get on the phone with you guys sometimes every once in a while, just whatever, but there's going to be a point where you're in that position now. You've got 10, 15, 20 guys, gals, that are doing the business, and now you don't always have to be there. You can spend time with your kids, with your, whatever it is, right? Your family, your, stuff like that. With your niece, right? You were telling me about stuff like that, right? You can now
Right.
spend more time with doing the things that you want to do, but you have to pay that price first, And so, yeah, I guess that's one of the biggest things I wanted to think about because a lot of people, what I was saying right now was somebody who'd been here for 8 months, 6 months, and they're like, yeah, I'm gonna go get 10. But when you do that and you've already been here for a while, like, dude, that should no longer be the goal. You should be able to get to a bigger size of a team to the point where, okay, now I'm gonna go after 20. Now I'm gonna have to go after 30. And now you're actually growing. If you're only shooting for 10 all the time, you're procrastinating your success, right? So that was something that I was learning, man. I don't know if you got something to hit on that.
Man, no, like the I guess what I could add to that is like that the thing for me with this is and working with you and I assume we can say the name,
Yeah,
Primerica, like we're not advertising, right? We're just
yeah,
talking about it. Is just being like free is a lot more than just financially, right?
yeah,
Like spiritually, the time, getting your time back, like that's
yeah,
my biggest thing was wanting to do this is like I make good money. I have a good job, great career, I guess. but I'm not anywhere close to where I want to be financially, spiritually, and time wise. Like I'm always at work. I'm always doing this. I'm missing out on birthdays, Christmas. Like this last year, 2022 was the first Christmas I spent with my wife and family
Really?
like all day. Yeah, like or I didn't have to go in that night or I didn't have to go in the morning. Like
Oh,
yeah, in 5 years, 5.5 years, that was my first time spending it with them. And I know there's some people that I'm not claiming to have it bad or horrible. I know there's people that maybe haven't been home for Christmas in 10
yeah.
years, 15 years. Like,
But that doesn't mean that you
but
want to
for
stick
those
with
people,
what everybody else is doing, right? Yeah.
exactly. I don't want to be. I don't, and there's nothing wrong with where they're doing what they have to do. But this was, in my opinion, a chance to put in the effort I give a 9 to 5 back into myself so I can quit break from the nine to
Yeah,
five.
yeah, breaking the 9 to 5, right? You hitting back on the title there. That's awesome,
Exactly.
man. So
Exactly.
yeah, man, breaking the 9 to 5 podcast, bro. This is so awesome. You're talking about this, like for me, I work 12-hour shifts, right? So for those of you that didn't know,
Right.
right, so I was a police officer, and we worked from Thursday to Sundays, right? Sundays was one on, one off, and I couldn't be at the church, or similar stuff. But here's the thing, right? I'm sure it's like this from almost all the other jobs and everything, right? I only worked at UPS, worked at a Dallas County jail, and then I became a cop. So I don't really have like a bunch of experience with a bunch of other jobs either. But yeah, you got to ask off, right? And if too many people asked off that during those days, then you can't, whatever. So for us, it was all based off of seniority, right? It was like that in the jail, it was like that in the policing, and so if all the senior guys have already requested off, then you can't anymore. So sometimes it was like, why even bother? But sometimes those guys were like, hey, I don't even want to take off because I want to work on the holiday, and they'd get paid double, right? Double time because of
Right.
the whole holiday. It's the same thing with you, or
Yeah. Yeah. Pretty much. Like so. With me and my wife not having
yeah,
kids, the past, I guess, other than last year, the 2 years before that, I actually signed up to work the day before Christmas when I didn't have to, and I signed up to work New Year's and stuff because there was a lot of guys that just had a baby
yeah.
and wanted to be home the
You
night
covered
before Christmas with their kids, and so I'd cover for them.
them.
Yeah, and it I did it for them, but of course, the extra money
Yeah,
helps,
yeah,
right?
of
Like
course.
like but that's the thing. I still would have done it even if I wasn't getting paid
Yeah,
more. Like I wouldn't have done it for free, but I definitely wanted like, no, man, go spend it with your newborn. Go spend it with your new wife. Go, do all that.
of
Like
course.
that's just the type of person I am. Like because I believe in karma and I believe like me doing that, even if
Yeah,
it's not with that company or this doesn't work out and I go and I keep doing what I'm doing,
yeah,
at some point I'm gonna have a kid and
yeah.
hopefully there's some young guy or even an older guy that
Covers for you.
hey man, I got you.
Yeah.
Like go,
So yeah,
so
that's how like I thought it was cool. I was like, hey, you know what, senior guys have been here for a while. I want to give them a chance and all that stuff, and I'll do it. Same thing. I didn't have kids at that point in time or a kid, right? I have one baby girl,
yeah,
but so I did the same thing. You know what I mean? But later on, I thought like, I want to get to the point where even when you're a senior guy, you still even though you got first dibs, there's still guys that are more senior than you, and they can request off. And when you really want it off, there's other guys that really want it off too, and that doesn't mean that they're bad or nothing like that. But most times they'll be able to find a way out of it, right? They'll approve you to get off or something like that, But even if you do, it's like you're leaving all your guys out there, working for
yeah,
themselves and all that stuff. So it was always some kind of stressor that was like I got to be at work, you know what I mean, or whatever it is. And I wanted to be able to have the availability to just say like, hey man, even for their extra money, I want to be able to get to the point where, or I wanted to get to the point where I could be like, hey, all that extra money I want to make, I can just do that right early on in the week. I don't have to wait to get, Christmas pay and holiday pay and all that stuff. I can just go work my butt off my first 2 weeks and then take the other 2 weeks off if I wanted to, right? Or
yeah,
or
yeah,
just
yeah,
or
absolutely.
just grow my business to the point where it just automatic. I mean, there's still guys that you know what I mean. Like you're a broker now, you're an RVP, right, regional vice president, and you got still 2 3 guys that are going out there and still trying to get it going. Even during Christmas time, we'll close a policy or we'll go and do a will or do whatever they're doing or even be prospecting and talking to family members and friends and stuff about what their business and what they do now. And now they'll go close on New Year's Eve or stuff like that, and you're still getting paid and you're spending time with your family. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
so
yeah,
cool. But at one point I was there too, right? At one point everybody is there, and then you get to the point where you build your business and you can now do your thing. You know what I mean? So yeah, man, I love that idea of having my business, and I don't have to be asking off or asking nobody off. I don't have to ask another grown man to give me, time off. But I know there's a season in time where you got to
Yeah.
do that. I'm not knocking on it. So yeah, I understand.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's but yes, for me, like the thing that got me was for, nobody, I'm sure nobody watching this is going to know, but the Chris Shepard, his TikTok, like that's what got me. Like I was sitting at work and I was literally watching videos on affirmations and like there's got to be something more out there. And I'm just scrolling on TikTok, funny video after serious video after holistic medicine video, just my TikTok's filled with a little bit of
Yeah,
everything. And here's Chris with guy on his couch with his hat backwards, just sitting there, just talking,
yeah,
I've heard from Delane, he said his part was, man, I made $60,000 last month. And I didn't do
yeah,
shit, and he's
yeah,
like, we don't tell my kids, like, well, that's the part that got Delane. Well, the part that got me was whenever he said, like, man, I'm out there and I'm busting my ass, and I know nobody's working harder than me,
yeah,
but I'm still not. I'm still just on the struggle
yeah,
bus, and that's what I felt that I was like, man, like I put in the most overtime in my company last year at 900 something hours,
for real.
like I had almost as much overtime as I did straight time, and I was like, this just yeah, we have money, but there's just no freedom with
Yeah,
that. There's no. It's something to be proud of, but it's nothing that there, I know people that make less than me that are at work less than me, or maybe they make more than me and they're at work less than me, and they're always on vacation. They're always buying new this and doing
yeah.
that and doing this, and
One of the
that's not
biggest
me.
one of the biggest one-liners, and my bad I cut you off there, but that like fresh
No,
in my
no,
mind is that they're like, yeah, and Chris says that, all the bigger guys say that. They're like, look, are you getting by, or are you? Because they're like, no, no, man, everything's good with me, and everything's awesome, stuff like that. Like if you're talking to somebody about, do you want more, or you want to make extra income, or you want to start your business, and there's people are like, no, I mean, I'm I'm getting by. Like everything is awesome, right? Or I'm really busy. It's because I'm just really busy, right? Like for you, like last year, if we would have spoke, for example, without you watching a video like that, well, dude, I'm really busy, man. I'm always working overtime, 900 hours worth of, And so the question that we ask is, are you busy getting by or busy getting ahead? Right, and so a lot of people are doing all this overtime, and maybe they're making money, and maybe not even living paycheck to paycheck, just like shy over or whatever it might be, or even if somebody's making two, three, $400,000 a year, and they're not living paycheck to paycheck, everything's awesome, but they're working all the time. They're busy getting by, right? Busy getting by. Maybe
right,
they're saving some of that money and going to use it to start some other business. Well, that's awesome, maybe, right? But again, you gotta. All you're doing is saving money to start some other business, because you know that this is not it, right? Or some people don't
yeah,
know that it's not it, right? I'm making all this money, 60, 70, $80,000 a year, and because my parents made 50, I'm doing good, and that's how I
right,
felt, right? As a cop, a lot of cops, a lot of departments don't pay very well, right? We were getting paid, like I started off at like 65 when I was at the jail at 45, so it's like a $20,000 jump, and I'm like, man, this is nice, and I was saving money and whatever, but. I realized like, no, dude, this is not what I want for my life. Just like you know what I mean. I thought like, dude,
yeah,
I wanna be busy but getting ahead, and I knew that even if like it just didn't make sense. My first year we made 30,000, right? You know the story, and then
yeah,
that second year I leave my job. What kind of sense does it make to like I was making 85 at that point, making 85 and then saying, man, I made 30,000. I'm gonna quit my job for this. That don't make no sense, right? But it made sense.
but tell them the part to
Yeah,
that, right? Like what like you made 30,000 working how many days a week?
yeah, like Monday through Wednesday, part time, and
3 days a week, and I'm sure you didn't do that every three. Like sometimes you had other things going on,
yeah,
right? Like so, I mean, it was one of those no brainers. Like if I could dump the other 4 days, I'm making a pretty much equivalent to what you're making now.
then they locked out
Did I
my ring.
lose you?
Yeah, but no, you're good. But yeah, it was one of those no brainers. What were you saying?
It was just a no brainer that if I can do this in three
Yeah,
days, I made 30,000 in three
yeah,
days. Okay, now three times two is six, so 6 days I can make
yeah,
60. One more day, you do the math on that. That's 70, that's almost the same, but you're growing at that point. It's not just you
Yeah.
anymore. You're getting a team together. And like you said, like you can be in two places at once. Now you have two people making $30,000 in 3 days. So now, like,
The biggest factor to that is exactly what you just said. But the biggest factor to it was I was at a 70% in commissions, right? 70% in commissions and stuff. And we'll break down all the pay cycle stuff one day, but 70% commissions as a broker, I knew we were going to go up to 110 plus bonuses,
yeah,
right? So that was the thing, right? I was like, if I could do this in 3 days, yeah. If I work 5, 6 days a week, I'm building a team and my commissions is higher and you get bonuses, I can do this. You know what I mean? I was just so confident. So I was betting on myself, right? A lot of times we talk about, being risky. I'm sure you've seen it, bro. Dang, what's his name? I don't know if it's Jim Rohn. Jim Rohn says like he's like the video's so good, but he talks about well, it's because it's risky, and he's like, well, I'll tell you how risky life is. He's like, you're not gonna make it out alive, right? He's like, marriage is risky, having a kid is risky. He just starts going, everything is risky, right? Like starting a new job, getting a promotion. You're taking on new responsibility. Everything is risky, right? So invite it, just do it. And so I knew this was a risk move, right? I didn't really have family telling me like, no, don't do that. They were like, oh, we got you. But it didn't even matter. Even if I had that support, that's what kind of scared me the most because it was like, dang, I thought I was gonna have somebody saying, hey, you guys are dumb. You know what I mean? Like we did have a couple people, but it was like people I just really didn't care what they said. But I
right.
thought it was gonna be somebody very significant that was gonna say, hey, you guys are dumb. Do not do that. Keep your career. And then now it was my opportunity to prove them wrong. But dude, it wasn't even like that. It was like, no, no, yeah, you guys do what you want to do, and we'll support you, we'll back you up, because they had no responsibility. No, it was all up to me, right? Even if we fail,
Yeah.
they're just gonna be like, hey, we're still supporting you, right? Like it wasn't gonna,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? It was all on me. So I was like, oh man, this is crazy. Everybody's supporting me, and that's awesome. But now I got to go prove them right. Now, so yeah, that was one thing for me, man. That I was like, wow, dude, I got to go do this thing. But yeah, it was risk move, but I knew that I was putting that risk on myself. I was willing to bet on myself, and I feel like a lot of people are not willing to do that.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. Like, and that's the crazy thing to me because the same person that's not willing to bet on themselves are the same people that are betting on, sports teams and betting on other people trying to make money,
That's so
like,
good. Yeah,
uh, so it's just one of those deals that if I guess the biggest thing, like an easier way to say that is if you're not willing to bet on yourself, then you don't think very highly of yourself because,
yeah,
and if you don't think very highly of yourself, you need to fix that. In my opinion, like that's just me. Like, and I know that for anybody that has bet on themselves, they'd be willing to say like, no, that's 100% right. Like because who are you going to bet on if you can't bet on
yeah.
yourself?
And there's a couple of people, bro, that I feel like just honestly are like, man, I wouldn't be able to bet on myself like that. I just don't trust myself like that. I don't have that. They just don't see themselves that way. They don't have that high view of themselves or whatever, whatever it might be. That kind of goes back to what Rachel was saying, right? Rachel Martinez and the FLC, going back to that note that I wrote down. She's like, do they believe you when you say you're going to do something, right? Can you
Right.
can you say something and people are like, no, man, he's about to go do it because he's done it so many times before, right? Like I've seen him do it. When he says he's going to do something, he's going to do it. Or when she says she's going to do something, she's going to do it. But if you're not there yet, right? Like if somebody just honestly like just no, like that's not me. Like I honestly feel like every time I say something, I fail. Every time I try to, it goes back to what we were talking about that you can't use those failures as failures, right? You got to see those as small successes, right? And that
Yeah.
those are small doses of failures that you need to get to your success, right? So just it like
Right.
all this is tying together. You know what I mean? But
Yeah,
yeah,
I think it was Brad Lee. Brad Lee has like 6 pillars of like to live by, and I know I don't have them in this notebook, but I do know that the main one that hit home for me was or two that hit home for me really were the quit lying to
yeah,
yourself. So if and to break that down just a little bit, it's and I'm guilty of this. My God, I'm gonna start going to the gym on Monday. Knowing that I'm not going on Monday,
yeah,
but to make myself, I'm lying to
yeah,
myself basically. Like, and you don't look at it that way, but when you quit lying to yourself and saying like, or or you go to throw something away in the trash can, it's full. I'll take the trash out later, knowing you're not going to take it out later. You're lying to yourself. You're telling yourself that you're not a man of your word. You're not. And that I wholeheartedly believe that that subconsciously does something to you in your everyday life.
Yeah.
Like, because not to say so much that, your boss going to say, you know, hey, did you do what I asked you to do? And that's going to develop into you like, yeah, I did it. No, and you didn't. Like, hopefully, hopefully that's not you, right? But and then another one he talks about is winning. Like, how does he say it? Like, chalk up the wins. Like, brushing your teeth in the morning should be a win to you. Like, I woke up, I brushed my teeth. That's a win. Okay, set my toothbrush down, go in there. I made it to work on time. That's a win. Like people have this unrealistic um, vision of what a win is, when really brushing your teeth, who's to say that's not a win? Like, it's up to you. You decide what a win is. So when you chalk up those little W's, you get used to winning. Now your goals and your things become, now a win may be a 10 by 10 month.
Yeah.
When 3 months ago,
One by
a 10
one.
by 10 month,
One
10 recruits,
one by one
10,000,
is,
right?
yeah, like at this point, one by one.
It,
Yeah.
it, exactly. So you know what I
Yeah.
mean? You get what I'm saying? Like, it's just one of those things that, and there was quite a few, there was four other points that he had that I can't remember off the top of my head, but those two stuck with me, where those have dramatically helped me in my just day to day, like, and have helped me emotionally, or not emotionally, I guess, like
Mentally, yeah, just mentally.
mentally. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes.
As a
Mentally.
matter of fact, I got something for you, bro. If you want to write this down, I want you to read this book, man. It's
Yeah.
Audible, but it's "What Do You Say When You Talk to Yourself?" What do you say when you talk to yourself by Shad Helmstetter. Bro, I heard this book recommendation like 4 or 5 different times. What do you say when you talk to yourself? Shad Helmstetter, that's what it's called. I'll give you the name of Helmstetter. It's a weird last name, but I had heard it like 4 or 5 different times, bro, and it was all people that were making more than 500,000. It was like people making four or
Right.
500,000. I was like, bro, I got to read this book, dude. You got to check it out, man. And everybody listening to this. So it's basically, it's an old school book, so it might be tough to, like, it's not going to be the most exciting thing, but if you really get a lot from it, he's like, dude, I mean, if you were to talk to yourself, if you were to talk to somebody else the way you talk to yourself, you'd be fighting. You know what I mean? Like, oh, you're a loser,
Yeah.
man. You suck, man. You're trash, dude. Who do you think you are going saying you're going to go to the gym on Monday? You know you're not going to go. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you start talking to yourself, saying all this stuff, and it's messed up, bro. It's like stuff that I mean, again, if you said that to somebody else, you'd be fighting, right? But
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
when
Yeah.
you start realizing that, like the war in your mind, man, I've seen so many books talk about that. I've seen so many successful people say the exact same thing. As a matter of fact, I told Yada, I was like, I'm gonna write a book one day talking about this, because I feel like this is the secret sauce, right? They're always saying like it's not secret sauce. There is no one, no secret sauce. It's always just hard work, which is true, But what I'm saying is one of the most common things that I've seen in my couple of years. Like one day I'll share my screen and I'll show all the books I've listened to on Audible, right? Like I got tons and tons, right? And all those hundreds of hours on SoundCloud from the business audios, right? But one common thing that I've seen almost every single time, different races, different people, different backgrounds, different ethnicities, and they're all talking about tell yourself, like, like positive stuff, right? Tell yourself like, thank you God, because I'm gonna win, right? Thank you God because I got a big business. Thank you God because I've got an income of 20, 40, $50,000 a month. Thank you God because, like, saying something as if you already have it. And as a matter of fact, I gave a message on that at the church one day, talking about all that stuff. That it's all biblical, right? Everything's there, about declarations, about affirmations, about all that stuff. And it was one common thing that I saw, one after the other, one after the other. People that were believers, people that were not believers, right? And it was everybody just saying like, I reaffirm myself every day. I tell myself that I'm a great closer. I tell myself that I'm a great business owner. I tell myself that I'm gonna be a speaker of thousands of people, like stuff like that. And I think I've told you about one of my guys, Efrain Estrada. We'll have him on for sure one day. He's gonna drop some nuggets, and $200,000 earner. Like, dude, just always just working and stuff. I mean, building this thing. He's about to get to a point where he'll be able to step back and stuff, and he'll have a big business. But he talks like one time I'm talking to him on the phone. Every time I talk to him on the phone, I learn a little something different. And he's like, we were taking this one test, and then we failed it, right. And so I was like, hey, bro, what are some questions you remembered? And he sent me a picture of all the questions that he had remembered that were on the test, of a couple things, and then I was like, dude, you got great memory. You know what I mean? He was like, this was his response without a beat, without missing anything. He was just like, Yeah, bro, I tell myself that every day. You know what I'm saying? I was like, dang, like I kind of got by the phone, I'm just like, oh snap. He reaffirms himself every day, and he does it with his kids all the time. No, I have great memory. I'm a son of the Most High King, right? I'm a leader. I'm a champion. Just stuff like that. And I'm like, bro, no wonder this man is winning all the time. You know what I mean? No wonder he's got a big business.
Yeah.
No wonder,
Yeah.
like, it was just one common thing that I saw every time, every time. I don't know if you got something to hit on that.
So to yeah, actually, the one thing I saw, and I'm sure it's on YouTube. I think the first place I saw it was TikTok. I could be wrong.
Yeah.
Maybe it was YouTube, but it's a time lapse video. No, it was definitely TikTok because it's like, okay, day one, and have you heard of the rice? You put cooked rice
Okay.
in a mason jar. It's airtight. No air gets to any of it.
Okay.
And in the first jar of rice, you take a sticky note and you write love.
Okay.
And you tape it to the mason jar. And then on the second one, you type hate or you write hate and you put it on there. And you keep them on separate ends of the counter. And every morning, this lady did it with her kids. They'd walk up to the loved one and they'd say, "You're beautiful. You're smart. You're just positive affirmations." And then they'd move down the counter and they'd go to the other one. They're both in the same room with the same sunlight, same atmosphere. Everything is the exact
Yeah.
same. But hate is written on the jar, and the kids walk by and say, "You're ugly. You're stupid. You're like," and a month goes by, and the jar of rice that had love written on it that they said positive things to every day looks the exact same. The one that said hate, that they said hateful things to every day, was black and moldy and just looks disgusting. Yeah, look it up, man. It's a real thing. Like
That's crazy.
what you what you put out into the
Yeah.
universe is what happens. So
Yeah.
like I haven't done this for myself, but I believe like I need to because um I believe that what you I've always believed that what you put out in the universe is kind of what comes back. Like what you put out there is what happens. And um
Yeah, that's something that I
just
that's something that I got from it
no
too,
one
right? Like, basically that whatever you're saying, you're declaring those things, right? Like you're saying that this is what I want for my life. You know what I mean? So like when you're saying, oh, it's because my kids are shy, you're declaring that over them. You know what I mean? Like you're saying and plus they're hearing you say that stuff. Oh, I guess that's who I am. You're
yeah.
declaring. You know what I mean? Everything that comes out your mouth it's a declaration, right? So I figured that out, from a bunch of studies, right? Just a bunch of studies, whether it be biblically or just from, people that are successful and stuff. They don't say like it's because I can't do this. They don't say that, right? Like I'm sure in sports and stuff for you, but I mean for me, football coaches, you never say I can't. Never say I can't. You know what I mean? Like just so it's just time and time again, bro. I'm telling you, every football. What does that have to do with business, right? Like everybody's talking about the same thing when it comes with success, right? One of the biggest things that I learned, this was I believe literally last week, and it was like you either I got it all in Spanish in my head, but you either have a championship mindset or a loser's mindset type deal, right? Or a victor's mindset or a victim mindset, right? But you can't have
Mhm.
you can't have both of them together. They don't coexist, right? It's either one or the other, right? So you're either a victim or you're a victor, right? You're either a champion or you're a chump, right? So
Yeah.
because
Yeah. Yeah.
when you're a chump, you're thinking like, oh man, how am I ever going to do that? That's unrealistic. That's hard. That I can't do that, right? I've never done finances before, right? How many times are we gonna get that, right? I
Yeah,
ain't never
really.
done finances either, right? And you tell them, and then they're just like, oh yeah, but you're Caleb. What? Yeah. what does that have, what does that have to do? Or no, you're Zach, right? Yeah, that's who I am, and I still had the same circumstances you did, right? You know what I mean? Or
Yeah.
maybe people had worse circumstances that we did or whatever, but it doesn't matter. The point is, like, I'm willing to go through whatever it takes to get to that success, right? I'm gonna have that championship mindset or that victor's mindset. No victim, oh poor me, whatever it is. Now there's people who've gone through some really messed up stuff, right? But it doesn't mean that we're saying,
Absolutely.
oh, discount all that, right? I just had a conversation, bro, yesterday with somebody. They were like, no, it's because Caleb, you don't understand, right? You don't understand what I'm going through, or you don't understand what I've gone through. And so with compassion, I'm not trying to be rude or mean or nothing like that. But dude, it just came out of me. It was so cool. I was like, what's crazy is you're right, right? I don't understand and I don't know what you're going through, but what I do know is that I don't need to know. I don't need to know. There's
Yeah.
so many people that have gone through those things. Now you can't tell that to somebody. I didn't tell her that, right? But I was like, so many people that have gone through those same things and still have achieved it. That doesn't uplift them, right? So what I said, bro. I mean, I'm just keeping it raw here. But I don't need to know because the one that does know, right? He's gonna help you through that, right? He's so much greater than whatever it is you're going through. That's what I do know, right? And then it just kind of like got rid of any excuse that you got because it doesn't matter what it is you're going through. It could be really messed up stuff, and I feel bad for that person or I feel sorry for it, whatever it might be, and I have compassion for them. But what I'm saying is like what I do know is the one who knows is so much greater than whatever it is you're going through. You know what I mean? And so and
Right.
it's
Right.
good that little phrase I'm going to use it forever now. I just made that up yesterday. I say I made it up, but I swear it came from God, right? But I just said that I was like, dang, I'm gonna start using that, right? Because it can help you in business, it can help you in sports, it can help you in whatever it is a lot of people just get in that pity party and no, get rid of that victim mindset. Cry about it, whatever you're going through, but then let's get right on out of it and know that you got a God that's so much more greater. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Because the was it today or was it? Let me see. Literally, I had something of similar, like not to that depth,
Yeah.
but there was um I'm losing it, but it was basically talking about the when you learn to make your pain your oh, I want to say it was on one of the trainings.
I think
Somebody
it was
said
too.
like when
Yeah, I think I know what you're talking
you know what I'm trying to say. Whenever you learn to
about. Like cope with the pain.
when you turn those into a drive,
Okay,
when you turn those into a drive rather than
cope
uh,
with it.
having the victim mindset when you start using your your
The
man,
one,
like
the one
I'm terrible at
the
talking.
one from today, I really liked it. I think Katie Lomelli shared it, and she was saying something about I can't remember the exact quote, so I'm just kind of paraphrasing here, but she said something about like everybody we know that we have to go through pain or something. I can't remember the exact quote, but she said something about you got to go through that pain and stuff. And people are like, yeah,
I got it. I have it written
I'll go
down.
for
I
it,
have it
go
written
for it.
down. You
Growing pain.
claim you want to grow, then run away when you feel growing pains.
Yeah, 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 man.
Yeah,
I just
yeah,
remember the point behind it was that everybody talks about like, yeah, yeah, I'm willing to go through the pain, and you start having those growing pains because you're having some growth, right? But you can't have just growth. You have to have some pain along with it, and that's the sad truth. That's
absolutely.
the coolest part about like I say cool, but I guess once I figured that out, that it's not just you heard Blake and Brittany Timmons talk about it today. They were like, we've never hit these numbers before. They probably never made this cash before. And they were like, and it was also the hardest month that we've ever had before. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
she started tearing up.
Yeah.
She started
And
tearing up
that's
over
that
it.
I
Like,
was
and
like,
I feel like those were tears of pain, not tears of
yeah.
joy. Those were like
You know what?
that's how bad.
Yeah, yeah. My bad to cut you off because yeah, tears of
No.
pain because she's like, we're gonna have to keep doing this, and it sucks. I know
Yeah,
that that's what it's gonna take to get to success, right?
exactly.
Yeah, dude, that's so cool, man. And it's cool to surround yourself with people that have the same mindset, right? How I mean, I remember we had this conversation. Like, how long did it take for you to be like, damn, there's other weirdos like this, like me, right? There's
Yeah,
I
like
didn't know there was a lot of
the
people.
builder school was really
Yeah, eye
like
opener.
that was a big deal. But yeah, because and not to say that I was judging anybody or anything, but it was seriously a humbling experience and a life changing experience to see people that what Maria, the girl in the
Yeah,
wheelchair, what's her name?
we call her Gigi.
Okay,
Yeah,
Gigi. She's literally she paraplegic or
I
what?
really
Like
don't know, but
she's
she's disabled, right?
so she
Really?
yeah, she's disabled. Thank you. Like in a wheelchair, and she was up on stage 4 or 5 times getting
Yeah,
awards. Like high five. Anybody can do this, and she has, in my opinion, of everybody in that room, she has the most to just say like I can't like
yes.
I'm. Like what was her excuse? She doesn't have one. Like she literally, whether that's her motivation, like I'm going to prove to everyone it doesn't matter, or I don't know what her motivation is, but I'd love to talk to her. Like I'd love to know,
As a matter of fact,
like
bro, I don't know if you knew, but I don't think he necessarily shared it, but Danny was saying that they're I think it was from Florida. I think they were from Florida, and they just moved to Texas, bro. They just moved
Oh
to
wow.
Texas. Yeah, like here's another crazy part about it, right? She wasn't able to pass her exam, and she had tried it multiple times, and I think the state had and I don't think they mind me sharing this, stuff like that, but but yeah, like she had tried it a couple times and just couldn't pass it, so they're moving to Texas because in Florida, I believe they had a capped number of times that they could try it. Texas doesn't, and so literally her and her mom moved all the way to Texas, bro, to make that girl's dreams come a reality. Isn't that crazy?
And she has and I can vouch that I saw her on stage getting award after award after
Yeah.
award, and like so it was worth it. Like I'll say that, like whatever drove her, whether it was God or just whatever she believed in herself or was put inside her to say, this is the route you need to
Well,
take, man.
basically,
She totally
she
capitalized.
basically had a sense of purpose of like, hey, you know what, I can go and do something that like a job is not going to give her that. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
there's no job that's significant enough they're going to be able to say like, I built something, right? And I did it from
Yep.
home without having to like exert my body and stuff like that. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
that's the coolest thing about this business. Like it gives you a sense of accomplishment of not just I got a promotion and now I'm getting another dollar an extra an hour. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
what it is. You know what I mean? Or even if they, even for me when I made that jump from the jail to the PD and now I'm making $20,000 more, that was awesome. It really was. But even then, bro, like
Yeah.
after taxes and everything, it was really like an extra 1,000 a month. Now, extra 1,000 a month is great, but the point was I was gonna have to keep working for that to keep getting those 1,000 a month, right? I wouldn't even be able to
Yep.
retire
Yeah.
after
Yeah.
30, 35 years, right? And so I wanted to be able to have something that I can build it, I can work hard at it, right? We talk about it in the presentation all the time, 30 to 40 years or 20 to 30 years or 3 to 5. I'm choosing 3 to 5 all day. And
Every day. Like that's a no brainer.
yeah, yeah. I mean, and here's the thing: even if it took me 10 years, like Katie Lomelli from earlier today, talking, hey, it took me 13 years or whatever, all this kind of stuff. She just had so much other stuff going on, right? Even if it took me, God forbid, right? I don't want that. I'm not declaring that on my life, nothing like that. But even if it did, right, I would rather do that than do the job. And I have the sense of freedom these next couple of years or whatever, still doing my thing or whatever. But when the 10 years, I'm done, right? I got my business, I got my, I'm getting paid passive income, whatever it is, and I'm good. I'd rather do that than have to work 30, 40 years. And then when I retire, you only got 3, 4 thousand in income. A lot of jobs is like 2, 3 thousand, and you still got to do another part
Yeah.
time. So you never get to truly retire, so yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No, absolutely. Like that's my biggest thing because my my grandparents had played a big part in raising me, and my grandpa retired like 2002, something like that, and he had done well with the stock market. He had done well with his retirement. This was before the economy got real
Yeah.
bad, and he would buy and sell race cars and just different things. He was a wheeler and dealer. Like he was always buying something, selling it, buying, selling. But I saw that firsthand, and he never struggled financially. Like, and I wish I would have picked his brain more to figure out like what do I need to do that way I don't have to. But I was just a young dumb kid. Like I saw like, okay, now being older now and seeing that he did other things to give himself the lifestyle he wanted. In my head, I saw someone that worked 30, 33, 35 years, retired and was living great like that. So in my head, like that's just what I saw as a kid. So I thought that's what I needed to do. And as I'm getting closer to 30 and realizing like, and I'm meeting older gentlemen that are about to retire, and the economy, they're like, man, I thought I was gonna be able to retire in 2024. Now I might have to go to 2028.
Yeah.
Like I'm having to work because they have financial advisors and planners that are like, man, you need this much if this is the lifestyle you want.
Yeah.
Now they're having to work 4 more
Yeah.
years, and like,
I got you. So yeah.
I don't want to be there.
Yeah, I don't want to be. Yeah, I had sergeants that were like that, bro. They were like they've already been there for their 30 years. You're eligible to retire at 20, but nobody's gonna do it,
Right.
right? That's what I didn't
Yeah.
understand. Even then, I was like, oh, I'm gonna go to this department because they allow me to. I get vested at 5 years and I can retire in 20 years. And but I didn't understand what I was doing. I was still a young buck, and I understood this later that yeah, you can retire at 20. You're eligible to do it, but you're gonna get a paycheck of $1,000 for the rest of your lifetime deal, or till the money runs out or whatever. And I was like, oh, I didn't understand that part of it, right? Like
Right.
that doesn't mean jack of when you're eligible to retire and all stuff. You got to do your 30, 35 years. So their sergeants making $150,000 a year, but if they retire, they're going to take a pay cut. They're going to be getting paid $80,000 a year. for the next, 20, 30 years or something of their life, whatever it might be, right? I'm just throwing some numbers out there from what I had heard. But yeah, I'm like, so they didn't want to take that pay cut because they're living a lifestyle of this pay, 150 a year, so they're like, no, I gotta stay. So, and some of them were like, no, I really enjoy this. And I'm like, but in reality, bro, do you really enjoy like doing this all the time, or you're just telling yourself that to kind of cope yourself to get to those 35 years that you still got to get to? You know what I mean? You already been there 28, and you still got a couple more years to go. And yeah, and the crazy thing is too that I realized that there's a thing out there about people that as soon as they retire, they die within the next couple of years. They don't really truly enjoy retirement, and they say because they're just so used to working, bro. That I feel like that's really sad. I think one thing that we haven't really talked about, or a lot of people haven't talked about, is the fact that you get so used to a job that you feel like you need that to function. You know what I mean? Like, I
Yeah.
think that's sad, bro. Like you retire a year, 2 years, and then somebody's dead. Like at least the police officers like that all the time. I would hear stories like that all the time because they're so used to just, and that was their purpose. That's who they become. Whatever their job is, like I'm an accountant, right? If you ask somebody, oh, tell me a little bit about yourself, the first thing they'll say, like, oh, this is what I do, this is who I am, right? I'm a cop, I'm an accountant, I'm
That
this.
they use their profession to
Define who they
describe
are.
themselves. Like that's their identity.
Yeah, like,
Yeah.
bro,
That's their
that's
identity.
not good. You know what I mean? I'm not going to define
Wow.
myself as something as what I do. Somebody asks me what I do. Yeah, I'm a business owner. I'll define myself as that, maybe a little bit. But on top of all of that, hey, I got a child, I got a wife, I got my church. I'm a youth leader out there too. Whatever, we're gonna be pastor, all that stuff. Like I got other things other than just my business, right? It's faith, family, business, right? So I'm a child of the
Yeah.
king, whatever it is, right? But yeah, a lot of people do that, right? They'll define themselves as whatever it is that they do. So whenever that leaves, they feel like they have no more sense of purpose anymore. I'm no longer an accountant. I'm no longer a
Yeah.
cop. I'm no longer whatever. So who am I? What do I do? That's crazy. So I want to be able to be a business owner so that I can spend more time with my family. And so what do you do? I mean, I'm basically 3 years retired, right? I got a business that is just paying me, and I'm spending time with my family. You know what I mean? So yeah, I want to be able to do that one day, right? Say that one day, and we are going to do that one day, right? You and me. So
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
yeah, bro. So dude, I don't know if you had any
110%.
any last minute points, man. That we're hitting on this last 2 minutes or so. But did you have something else?
Let's see.
I do got one more point if you don't.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Bro, so the last one, I guess we can close out with this, but I wrote this down, man. As I was listening to those guys up there, I was like, man, you know what? Uh, from the time the months that I've been up there, when we did, big numbers, except these guys are doing it consistently, right? Like month in, month out, every single time. We'll get ups and downs and stuff, but we gotta, maintain it up there. So one thing that I hear in their voice and I hear in the things that they're saying, similar to when I did those big numbers or we did those big numbers, as a team and stuff like that. It was I wrote it in Spanish. I put desesperación. I feel like that Spanish word is like so. It even sounds more urgent, but urgency. That's what that means. Desesperación, urgency, bro. Like they have some kind of like we gotta hit it by this day. We gotta do this by this day. And then when we hit it by that day, or even if we did it, okay, this is our next goal, right? Next week, we got to do this. We got to do this, right? We got to hit these, And I felt like I always felt like I never wanted to have some kind of like job or something that I did that made me feel like that, right? Like I want to be able to come home and just chill, right? And just watch TV and do my thing or whatever. Like that's what I want. But I know that to get to where I want to get to, I can't have that right now, right? I can have that later. Right now, I got to get to work. And so when the months that we did those big numbers, or that we've done those big numbers in the past multiple times, right? When we've done those, I had that urgency so bad, bro. I was like, dude, by Friday, we gotta hit those numbers. I'd be calling you up. I'd be calling somebody else up. Hey, bro, what do you got for this week? What do you got for whatever? Like just try to push and do whatever I got to do. Go out and get new numbers, or I'd go talk to friends and family. Hey, who do you recommend for me to talk to, or whatever it is. Like I had some kind of urgency, bro, that was just this desesperación, right, in Spanish, right? Just I just couldn't sit there and just do whatever I wanted to do. Like I wouldn't be watching TV, maybe at night, with the ad or something. But like, bro, I would be just so like, I gotta go do something. I gotta go get it. I gotta talk to somebody. I gotta text this person. I just felt so like that. And I noticed that they were all like that, and I was like, bro, there's something to that, right? That's another common thing that I've seen with some people that are very successful when they're doing it. So I put urgent, a burning desire. That's I just wrote it down like in red. I just put a burning desire. Like they just got a burning desire to win. I'm gonna do this thing no matter what. That's what Brittany said, right? Brittany Timmons, right? Stuff like that. But yeah, I just put the feeling of I need to hit this. So I wrote that down as my last like point before I left, and I was like, man, you know what? I got to get that urgency back, and we're gonna get it this month, bro. Just watch, man.
I'm there with you, but let me ask you this, and then we'll close it out. For anybody that how does somebody obtain that burning desire? Like what's your advice to somebody that's like, man, I just don't have it in me. Like what can I do different
Bro,
to maintain that, obtain that?
I think two things to that, right? Number one, I feel like there's no I guess I kind of a little bit of a controversial like 2 points because number one, I feel like there really is no way, right? And then the second one, I'm gonna give you a way of like this is potentially a way, right? But number one, I feel like there is no real way because it's like the story of the dog and the nail, right? He's just laying there, and then you and me are out on the porch and like, bro, why's your dog crying all the time? Just just crying or whatever. Why is he crying all the time? Oh, he's laying down on a nail, right? Like, why don't he just get up? I don't know. When it hurts bad enough, he'll get up and go, right? And that's what they talk about
Yeah.
today, right? Like, dude, there's no way I can teach somebody to have that urgency or just like, hey, dude, let's just go and get it. Let's just go and get it. And as you can see, it can die out. It did it with me, right? Like I feel like what happens is like you're underwater and you're working and working and working and working and you got to get out and get a breath and you're just like, oh my gosh. And then what happens is you come up here and you're like, and then you just stay up here. Dang, bro,
Right. Yeah.
going back down there is tough. Going back down there is hard, and you just stay up here versus just, and then just going back in there and then just keep working. You know what I mean? So
You just got to get comfortable being
yeah,
uncomfortable.
yeah. So I think there's point to that I just feel like somebody can't just get it because it's just gotta hurt bad enough, right? Like they talked about like when your income just gets low enough, or you just so sick and tired of being sick and tired, your paycheck to paycheck, you're just like, you know what, I'm just gonna do this, no matter what, whatever it takes, I'm willing to do it, right? But point number two is I feel like okay, if you really feel like you really want to get like that, and you don't know why, you just won't get up off that nail, right? I think one of the best things you can do is listening to stuff like this, right? Dude, all I did when I first got started here is I would listen to audios. I would listen to audios, listen to audios,
Yeah.
listen to audios, and I would just ask my coach, like, hey, send me an audio. And right now I just go and listen to them myself. And if you can at least have a burning desire of wanting to grow, right? If you just commit to that, like, hey, you know what? Every day I'm gonna listen to some kind of podcast or audio or YouTube video that gets me better, and learn one or two things a day or something like that. If you just consistently do that, I think on auto mode you're gonna start just getting better and better, and you're gonna start knowing, okay, now I know what to do to get off of this nail, I guess, type of thing, right? Because you really don't need to get off of that nail. You just need to stand up and go, But if you really feel like maybe you're just lost in the sauce and you just don't know what to do, how to do it. Well, cool, man. Just listen to stuff like this all the time, and then you're like, dang, now you start getting some knowledge to know what kind of questions to ask and what kind of things I can do to be able to get off of this now. So that's kind of my long and short answer to that. But yeah, bro, man. I hope you guys really like that, man. I really enjoy this, man. I'm looking forward to doing this.
No, absolutely. I enjoyed it too, and I can't wait till we do another one or get someone else on with us, or however we're gonna do it. But that's the cool thing about this. Like, there's not really a blueprint to it, right? We're just winging it, and I hope everybody enjoyed it. And I'll try not to, if it for whatever reason it blows up, I'll try not to dig too far in the comments,
Yeah,
like.
yeah,
But yeah, no, man, I appreciate it, man. And I appreciate everything you had to say, and hopefully everybody else did too. But even if there's just one person that took something away from this, I feel like that's a win for us,
yeah, man. Well, let's do it, bro. God bless, man.
All right. Yes, sir. You too. Have a good one.
Well, I'm gonna see if I can join it with the same link if it lets me. If it doesn't, then I'll just. Oh, there's an app on it. Okay. Yeah, it looks like I might need the app to do it, so I'm doing it right now.